tell us we're oppressed. Why is also my mother? My mother who grew up in and out of foster home. My mother who worked her butt off to get good grades so she can get into her dream school, only to decline because she was pregnant with me at 18. We were homeless. She worked her butt off to get a job, get us a plate, and start dental hygiene school, which is basically medical school. A working single mother of two going to college, Black in America. And she never complained once. In '05, she married my dad because she understood the importance of having a father in the home. Had 2 more girls. She got her dental hygiene license and my dad joined the army. Then they continued to work their butts off until they bought our house in 16. Now she owns a small business. So no, I'm not oppressed, cause god damn me if I disrespect my mother by playing a victim when she never did and she's the one that went through hell. So you wake up and don't you ever Black in America me again, cause this is the best country in the goddamn world to be Black.
You know, would Black Lives Matter only when it's police brutality? Black lives don't matter when them 6 children got murdered in Chicago on Father's Day. Where were they at then? They wasn't out marching and protesting and this and then. Black lives only matter when it's a, you know, when it's a form, when it's a police taking a Black life, but not when another Black person is taking another Black life. So that whole movement is bullshit, and it's just a form of distraction to keep us distracted, and to keep more separation amongst the people, to keep us divided. Divide and conquer. It's a simple war tactic.
A lot of Black people in jail, but I tell you what, a lot of Black people deserve to be in jail because of the crimes they commit in their neighborhoods. Our neighborhoods, how's that? See, I moved out of the Black neighborhood when I was a kid because my single Black mother said, you know what? People are breaking into our place all the time and we're not safe here. So you know what we did? We moved to the first white neighborhood that we could afford. It happened to be a trailer park, and we were the first Black people in this trailer park, but it was safe. And I do not feel oppressed. I got to go to college, and my SAT scores were not that high. They weren't really high enough to just grant me admission. I had to get a little interview, and they probably saw, oh, Black female, let her in. There's probably some white kid with more qualifications than me, better SAT scores, who didn't get in because I did. When I went to Ghana recently, there were Black people in the first class section and white people back there in coach. There's no such thing as white privilege.
Victimhood has become almost a mental plague upon Black America in particular, because that word racism is being so overused that society is becoming desensitized to it, and we actually can't even recognize it when it actually exists. We think everything is racist. Things that used to be normal conflicts between human beings, getting cut off while you're driving, having a bad correspondence in a grocery store, you should just brush it off, shrug it off, and move on with your day. Now people are crying and making videos and pleading on Facebook to say, look what I experienced today. I mean, it's sad for her, but I think it also says, as you mentioned earlier, it's something bigger that's happening in culture that needs to be addressed before it goes too far.
For me, I've never seen in America, honestly, in all my life, I've never seen, and not to put labels on it racist, but white media attack a white man so much. I've never seen it ever in my life. So I think that obviously there's something that he must be doing right, because, you know, these people own all the major media outlets. And, you know, I know that they put propaganda out just for people to believe this narrative, that narrative. But if people do the research and just dig a little deeper and have an open mind, that they'll realize that, like, you know, Trump is actually for the people.
And how would y'all define racism today, so I can know whether I should go put the bullet through my head and just give up? Because I don't know anymore. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
Professor Williams?
I don't know. I mean, anybody can be a racist. I mean, if you're for budget cuts, you could be a racist. If you're for a constitutional amendment to balance the budget, you can be a racist. If you're for accountability, if you're for, you know, a lot of organizations, civil rights organizations, make you a racist if you're for many, Proposition 13 in California. This was called the Racist Act.
Will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
If you're a progressive, if you're a liberal, you want to keep race front and center in our national debates, whether it's relevant to the discussion or not. you want to keep it front and center because you think it works for you politically.
The goal is to tell black people that we're victims, that discrimination and racism remain major problems in America when in fact they don't. And they want black people to vote for the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party gets 95% of the black vote, and the reason they get it is because blacks are convinced that the number one issue facing the country right now is social justice, racist white cops, discrimination, systemic racism, microaggression, whatever new word they come up with, and it's a bunch of nonsense. The number one problem domestically facing this country is the breakdown of the family. And President Obama said it, I didn't.
If racism were the pervasive challenge facing the country, why are poor blacks failing in systems run by their own people?
In Baltimore, where Freddie Gray was killed, Freddie Gray died in a van, I shouldn't say was killed, died in a van.
Yeah.
You have a city that's 45% black. City council is 100% Democrat. The majority of city council is black. The top cop at the time was black. The number 2 cop was black. The majority of the command staff is black. The mayor is black. The AG is black. And yet here we are talking about racism.
The intellectuals have told them that the world is unjust, that other people are keeping them down, that the fact that they don't have what other people have is somebody else's fault.
Apparently there's this list of 10 things that white people could do for black people, and it just made me sick. I mean, I'm a black woman, as you obviously see. I didn't grow up enslaved. I grew up in a fairly decent family. And never in my life have I ever heard anybody asking a white person to give up their home to a black family because they feel of white privilege. I hate that. White people, black people, anybody, we all go through the same game. As I've heard before, and I'll say it myself, there is no such thing as white privilege.
I don't want a Black History Month. Black history is American history.
How are we going to get rid of racism?
Stop talking about it. I'm going to stop calling you a white man.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask you to stop calling me a black man.
Racism is the all-purpose explanation for what ails black America. There are a lot of people making a lot of money on that narrative, and they want to keep it out there.
Politics, like everything else, has some things it can do and some things it can't do. And from what I've seen of groups around the world economically, one of the things it seems not to be able to do is raise groups from poverty to affluence. People have discriminated against other people wherever they've had the power to do it, almost everywhere in the world and almost every period of history. Some groups are kept back by this, and some groups, it seems to make no difference whatever. The fact that people didn't hire Jews in the 19th century didn't stop Jews from hiring each other and setting up and dominating industries such as the garment industry or the beginning of the great Hollywood movie studios and other areas of the economy. It is the skills that are crucial and not the fact that other people are willing or unwilling to hire you.
Liberals have no interest in a post-racial society. They may claim that they long for one, but when you want racially gerrymandered voting districts, you don't want a post-racial society. When you want racial preferences in higher education, you don't want a post-racial society. When you name your group Black Lives Matter, you are not practicing post-racialism.
A white person walking up the street with a damn Black Lives Matter sign. You got to be smoking crack cocaine. Look here.
They do it because they feel guilty of what they
You
did
don't
in the
do
past.
things because it makes you feel good.
No.
You do things because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And you pushing that fake, that lie to black folks. Look, a majority of black people killed in this country, it's not by white police officers. It's by blacks. A majority of all blacks are killed by their own race.
Yeah.
And we only make up what, 12% of the population?
Yeah.
It's not white men gunning down black men. It's black men gunning down black men. Yeah. Have y'all forgot who killed Malcolm X? Who killed Tupac? Who killed Biggie? We killing each other. Ain't no white man out there in a hood killing us. It's us.
Yeah.
Black Lives Matter. Bullshit. If y'all really cared about black lives, y'all would show up whenever somebody's shot and killed.
The systemic racism is a myth. It cannot be true if some of the people that it was targeted somehow got around it. How can it be true then? So I am tired of hearing about systemic racism. So I was talking to a friend today, because a lot of people are starting to listen up now because of this George Floyd thing. And she's very successful herself. And she said, well, it is some systemic racism. And I said, how? I said, how did it not stop you, and how did it not stop me? And when I said that, she got really quiet, because I think she realized, wait a minute, that does make sense. Because that's the thing, people are not thinking things through. They're just, because there's so much anger and hatred going on now, that people are not even thinking, they're just saying, yeah, it must be true. But the people that's, the rich black people on CNN and MSNBC every night, they know that there's opportunities for black people. How did they get their positions? Nobody ever asked them, how did you get yours? So a lot of people are buying into this that normally will not, because of the emotion involved in it. And these people are taking advantage. These race baiters, they're taking advantage of this raw emotions out here now. They're taking advantage of it. But I'm tired of hearing about systemic racism, because it's a lie. There is no system in place.
I think that fear is a mechanism, a tool for control.
Yeah.
And the Democratic Party, the mainstream media, are using fear to control people and to control African Americans in particular. You cannot function properly if you live in an irrational fear.
You're a man just like I am, and whatever you are after that. That's what my stepfather used to say. He says every man stands up to piss, and he's whatever he is after that.
Where were you born?
Me?
Yeah.
Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Baton Rouge General Hospital.
I was born in Memphis, Tennessee. I had a long haul from where I came from to here, but here we are.
Right.
So the proof of the pudding is in the eating, and here we sit at the dining table.
But it's hard to, when you say that to some people, because they say, oh, there you go with a pull yourself up by the bootstraps thing, and you know, you're just being respectable. Not everybody can do that.
Well,